What is going on YouTube? It's Girl Cobbs, and I'm here to talk to you today about Cradles of Nightmare. So, Fear and Hunger, slightly different game, has been on my mind ever since that first guard game over scene, and it has haunted me ever since. I've been wanting to return to the Dungeons of Fear and Hunger, but have had it in the backlog until I came across a new game that piqued my interest, Cradle of Nightmares. I have a love-hate relationship with this game that has rapidly moved towards love. This game isn't really getting the attention I believe it deserves, and part of that is due to the fact that it is in Chinese and does not have an English translation. I admit though, the artwork and the Funger-esque design hooked me, and I tracked down the modder responsible for the partial translation, installed it, and loaded up the game. I initially was pretty put off because despite the partial translation, there were a lot of parts of the game that just did not make sense to me. That being said, after my first session, I gave the game another shot and I fell in love. Truthfully, I only planned on playing this game long enough to do a review for it, but I do foresee playing for at least a few more hours, if not more. In this video, I want to dive into the overarching themes that really got me interested in Cradle of Nightmares, what I like about it, what I don't really like, and what you should know in order to play it. Before we dive in though, there are two videos that are responsible for even downloading this game to begin with that I think you should go check out. First is a video from TacoBananas, as he did a great What You Need to Know video that helped me out a lot when I was starting. The second is a video from the first modder who translated the game from English to Spanish. They did a tutorial video on how to download and install the mod, and it is not a complete translation, but it was the only translation we had for a really long time. So if you appreciate the work these people do, please go click on the video and give it a watch, as that is the way they make income off of the video. And that is what they've asked people to do when downloading the mod. And then, editor's note from the future. I wrote the script, and then as I was typing it, looked up Cradles of Nightmare on YouTube to track down the people responsible for those two previously mentioned videos, and it turns out there is a full patch now out for Cradles of Nightmare that is a full translation. So I think we need to give the first modder credit where credit is due, as this was the only mod, I believe, at the time out for a good long while. But it seems this other YouTuber has completely modded it. It's not a partial translation, it's a full translation. I haven't touched it yet. I'm probably going to dive into it later tonight, but I will say from their video, it looks just leagues more encompassing and like fully complete than the other mod. So I would highly suggest going to I'm gonna link their profile and their video. Please go check them out, watch the video, and use their instructions to download their mod to play the game. Because as you will hear in the next few minutes, several minutes of this video, this game is a lot of fun, and I think you'd enjoy it. Despite some of the things I will say that I don't like, I think there is a lot that you will like, so you should definitely go check it out. I think the English translation from this other YouTuber is definitely the way to go. I will put all names, everything in the description below. Please go check out their channels. Anyways, let's get into it. The themes in Fear and Hunger are based around like cycles of power and brutality, and kind of how these cycles of countries and wars are pretty self-fulfilling, and how you can't really escape this cycle of war, power, change, war, power, change, and that's, I'm kind of glossing over it a little bit, but that is kind of what I gleaned from Fear and Hunger, and essentially how I related and understood the themes of the game. There's a lot more to it than just that, but the main thing is you are not special, you are not a main character, you are just a pawn in a game that you don't even realize you're a part of. That is very different from what I have found in Cradles of Nightmare. I don't want to say very different, let me just get into it. It seems like you are living in a post-war society where environmentalism and nature is a huge theme and something that is very important to the people there. And by very important, I mean pre-war, this connection with nature is essentially something that it seemed like was celebrated. And I don't mean like in a special or spiritual way, but people just reminisce a lot in this post-war society about, seeing trees and grass and breathing clean air, whereas now it seems like they have lost that. It seems like, from what I can understand from the partial translation, there's almost a fight over the resources, and that there are groups that wanted to protect the resources and groups that kind of wanted to use them. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, the fight over nature and the resources inevitably was the destruction of it. I think that is what happened. That is at its bottom line, though. There was a fight, there's a war, nature was destroyed because of it, and it seemed like nature and the use of the resources was a primary part of that war. And there's some underground groups that got a little radical with their either protection or wanting to use of these resources. But either way, this post-war society exists. You kind of miss trees and grass and breathing air that is clean, but this is the world you live in now. As you're walking to school, there's some kind of event that happens. The person who did the full mod in English, All Bones Jones, you guys please go check them out. I'm not trying to like steal their content. They did a great video on this. Something they mentioned, this event is very similar to everyone sitting on the throne in Fear and Hunger, which if you've played that game is very reminiscent of like kind of giving up your power, thinking you're taking power, but realizing after taking it that you are now just another pawn in the cycles of power. Sorry, spoiler, I guess. And that's again like kind of like the Spark Notes version of it. But so some event happens and you wake up months later and the world is very different. People are immortal now. They're kind of just dying over and over again. They've gone pretty crazy. And so you are kind of trying to figure out what's happened, but you, my dear friend, you are not a Fear and Hunger character. You are special. You are a main character. For whatever fuck ass reason, you have this connection with random ass dragon lady who I'm sure makes more sense in the full English patch. But this is just my experience. So I'm gonna stop like preferencing that. You guys have heard me say that 1,000 times. You get it. I haven't played the full English patch yet. To be fair, that's because it's February 19th and the full English patch released yesterday. But, and by patch, I mean the modder. That is what they're calling it. So anyways, you have this connection with this dragon lady and she brings you to her realm, I guess, to level you up, let you level your items up. And there's more that's going on there, but I'm not quite sure. Haven't quite figured it out. But what's interesting is there does seem to be this intrinsic like nature connection to, and not in a good way either, in this new world that you live in. It's almost like in a way nature has kind of taken this world back, but in a really fucked up way. There's lots of just like flowers, and that's what you use to teleport. That's the Dark Souls mechanics of this. That's what you use to teleport, are these flower baskets. It's like little havens of like pure nature surrounded by just like very overcrowded, overpopulated, smoggy city. And so what's interesting is as you're playing the game, you start seeing these enemies and they have what I believe are cordyceps, like these little flowers that'll appear on them. And you can occasionally find flowers that are similar to those and you can consume them to heal you, but they will lower your mental strength. Your mental strength is something that you need to keep up. I think it's also called humanity. I'm not entirely sure. But if that drops to 0, you're dead, you're done, and you cannot continue on in the game. So it's interesting that consuming something, some kind of weird flower that gives you health, also takes away your mental strength. Like, I think that's a very interesting concept to play around with, especially when you have this idea of nature taking back over the world, which it may not be the intended theme, but just from what I've played, that's kind of what I'm gleaning. What's also really interesting about this, it reminds me a lot of The Last of Us. I've never played the game. I've never played The Last of Us, but from what I understand, obviously, right, there's this virus, whatever, parasite that is turning people into zombies, for lack of a better term, but that it derives from some kind of cordyceps, some kind of flower that flower may not be the right, but plant, maybe parasite that kind of takes over the human body. And so that's kind of what I feel like this is alluding to, like almost like not nature reclaiming in a good way, but nature like really like fighting back. And obviously there's this like spiritual, I don't know what it's called spiritual, but this otherworldly thing happening with everyone becoming kind of immortal and kind of going crazy. It looks like also, and I'm just getting this from All Bones Jones video, please make sure you go watch this, but it also seems like the world is like falling through. Like there's a lot of metaphysical shit happening that I think supersedes this environmental theme, but it is really interesting to see like one of the items that heals you is an like insect bottle, And it just, every time I take that, I feel like I'm just drinking a parasite. Like, it's really weird, but I also need the health. So like, what are you gonna do? So those are the themes that I have gleaned so far. I haven't gotten into the metaphysical side of things yet, just because I think that part is part of what got lost to me in translation. But it is interesting, and I talk about this in one of my like playthroughs of the video or of the game. I did like 3 different sessions, but anyways, it's interesting that there's these people who seem to have lost their soul in a way. Like when you kill people, you take their soul. Like souls are like an item in this game, which implies that like some people don't have their soul after you kill them, or never had it. Sometimes you can just pick them up off the ground, I think. I don't know. But what's interesting to me is this like idea that before this war, people had this love of nature. And I mean, I don't know how like love of nature it was, but they had it, and they appreciated it enough that when they lost it, they missed it, right? And so in a way, I mean, we're humans. We are in a way tied to nature. We are living, breathing on this earth. We are breathing oxygen that the trees are ensuring continues to happen, you know? Like, so like obviously we are connected to nature as well. And so when we lose that connection to nature via the war, this event happens, and now all of a sudden people have lost their souls. And in a way, like to me, that feels a lot like losing our connection with nature, our connection with the earth. And I'm not meaning that in a spiritual wee-woo way, but I mean, like you can clearly see people have gone crazy. And a lot of these apartments you find in the city, they have all of these plants and flowers that they're growing, and flowers seem to be a very big focus of this game. So just, I find the connection between, you know, people lamenting that they've lost their connection to nature, lost the nature in the city, in this post-war society, and then having this event that drastically changes the structure of their world and also changes how they are even connected to their soul. Like I feel like losing that connection is very similar to losing the connection to our soul and our humanity in a way. Like I don't know if that's what the developer is going for, but if it is, I think it's cool as fuck. Otherwise, I can't imagine what else all of the flower references and cordyceps references and parasite references are for. Like, it just seems really interesting to me. But I will stop ranting about that. Let's talk about what I like, other than the themes of the game. The game is just fun. Like, the artwork is really cool. The, like, mechanics seem to work well together. It doesn't feel as random as it felt initially when I played. Things start kind of cohesively working together. It is a class system. I chose the archer class, and I'm starting to find ways to link my skills together in order to do like maximum damage. Like it's a very rewarding like combat system. I'm playing on normal, whatever the normal mode is. It doesn't feel like an overwhelming game. That is one thing that I kind of want to touch on too, is like this game does have a lot of like comparisons to Funger, but this game is a lot easier than Funger. And I don't think a lot of the themes, other than this idea of like immortality being a curse in a way, like other than that, there really aren't a lot of comparisons I think I can find with Funger, other than like that one theme, and just like aesthetically the artwork looks very similar. Like a lot of these creatures I feel like you could stick in Funger and no one would be surprised. Like other than that, like there really aren't a lot of similarities in my opinion. And like I mean with the combat system you can target limbs, so there's that, but that's what it feels just very surface level. It feels like again, like all of these similarities are very just surface level, and that's not a bad thing. It is, but it is, in my opinion, like a different experience from playing Funger. In Funger, I am actively trying to avoid enemies so that I don't like unnecessarily fight enemies, because I like that's one thing in Funger. If you don't have to fight it, don't fight it. Whereas in this game, I'm actively singing out NPCs so I can get their souls and level up, and I'm not even like really paying attention to the fights. I'm like just kind of spamming attack through the fights so that I don't have to take the consideration of every battle like I do in Funger, right? Mechanically, like I said, it's a lot of fun. It seems like there is just so much to dig into, and there are certain puzzle pieces that like kind of like link up with each other in other places. Like the game, in terms of these stories around it and the areas to explore, gives you enough to get you interested and to allow you to connect the dots in a like very intuitive way. It's very rewarding to play this game and explore the area, because you find items that fit in other areas, And like it just increases your excitement to keep exploring because you want to continue to find like useful things. Like there's just so much like exploration and reward for exploration and like lore that you get from exploring. Like it truly feels like you're in an immersive world. Like I was a little worried when I started realizing this was not like Funger whatsoever, other than very surface level things. As I was worried that someone just wanted to recreate Funger, except with like a, you know, different content. And so I feel like I was worried there wouldn't be that much thought into the content, the actual content of the game. But it's so immersive, it's so thought out. I had a lot of fun. I'm like just itching to continue exploring. I'm itching to actually replay with the full English translation. Because let me tell you, oh god, this game drove me up a wall the first like 2 or 3 hours. Because I was like, what the fuck is this? And again, that's not a knock on the developer or the first person who did the translation. Like, because kudos to both of them, but my dumb American brain can't put 2 and 2 together sometimes. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, what? I was like, what is this health bar even for? Why does he have 3 health bars? He doesn't have 3 health bars, but like, that's no knock to either of them. It's more of me need hand holding, I need English. So I'm so excited to play through and like kind of fully grasp what is actually going on in this game. Maybe we'll make a follow-up to this video then, I don't know. What do I not like though about this game that actually almost turned me off this game completely is there is this weird like, I've heard so many people use this like gooning undertone at one point, and again, it was partially translated, so I'm not entirely sure what she was saying. But at one point you're talking to like the dragon lady who's like kind of like your guardian, I think. She like helps you level up and stuff, but she's also fucking weird. Like at one point she's like, oh no, I know everything about you. I even know what you get off to. Can I say that? I also know what corn you get off to. I know what size vibrator you use. And it's so out of place. And I'm just like, what? And there's just little like lines here and there that are just very fetishizing, it feels. And I don't love it. And I don't think it's not sexual violence, but I think that kind of undertones and attitudes towards a protagonist can be very helpful because like, not to get all like preachy, but as a woman, like it is nerve-wracking when you get catcalled. It's nerve-wracking when someone comes up to you and like says like something a little more sexually, like, you know, complimentary to you in person. Because you're kind of put in this position where you're realizing, oh, they are looking past whoever I am and are straight up just looking at my body right now. And that's like an uncomfortable feeling. Don't come for me. But it's a very uncomfortable position to be in, especially when you consider like if you don't respond in the right way sometimes to some of these people, because it can be women too. I'm not just saying this is only a male thing, but if you don't respond in the right way, like maybe like that sets the person off in a way you didn't anticipate, and then it becomes a little more dangerous for you. Like that, I don't think that is an experience that I think would work well in a game, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I think it's just a little fetishizing, especially because the main character, I think she's like a high school girl. So it just feels a little like a little fetishizing, and it's just like, oh, really? That kind of content isn't for me. Maybe it's for someone else, I don't know. But it was limited enough in the game that I haven't encountered a ton of it yet, so I'm able to just kind of like continue playing and kind of forget that part of the game exists. But I didn't love that. Like, I think there's a time and place for stuff like that in games, and when used well, I think it's used extraordinarily well. I don't think that's what this was. It was just a little weird, dude. I don't know. And like, not like, I think there's when weird and sexually uncomfortable and like brutality is used in that way in games, I think it has to be used for a reason. I don't think it can just be used for like shock value, because I think it kind of loses the meaning behind it, like the power and like struggle behind it when it's just shock value. And granted, I don't think it's used as shock value in this, but in the same way, it doesn't have a purpose other than like fetishizing the main character, who also doesn't seem to give a fuck that she's being fetishized, which again, if that's something you're into, that's fine. I'm not knocking your thing. but it just feels very uncomfortable, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And it does not uncomfortable in a good way. It brings me out of the immersion of the game. It does not immerse me further in the game. It takes me right out of it, and I don't think that is what that sort of content should do. But that is just, look, again, you can disagree with me. That's fine. I'm not trying to start a fight, although I'm sure it will. That was just my experience with the game. And again, I like a lot more about this game than I dislike, and that is why I'm still playing it. So honestly, I was going to do a little what you need to know portion of this video, but truthfully, I don't think I'm going to be able to sum up what you need to know any better than the other YouTubers whose videos I've watched. So please go check out both of their videos. Again, it's TacoBananas and All Bones Jones. They both did great videos. So links will be in the description. Please go check out both of their videos, and then dive into Cradles of Nightmare. It's like $6 US on Steam, I think. It's, I think, a pretty decent price for the amount of content you get. I have played through the game about 7 or 8 hours. I was going to upload that footage for members and patrons. That being said, since I have to replay it all, maybe I'll just do one big video of replaying it through with the English mod. I'm not quite sure, but we will see. We will see. Speaking of the patrons and the members, thank you guys so much for supporting me. It means a lot. It goes a long way, and it helps make videos like this possible. If you're interested in supporting me a little extra, the link to the Patreon will be in the description below, and you can also join as a member and get early access to YouTube, which is very cool. I also stream on Twitch, primarily survival crafting, but we play some other stuff every now and then. So if you'd like to come hang out with me, come check me out over there as well. I stream here too. Check me out in both places. All right, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.